ancient creatures.
In these ancient waters, enormous reptiles ruled for a time. Some reached lengths of up to 15 meters, true overlords at the top of the food chain. There were also giant sea turtles the size of a modern SUV, and massive predatory fish up to 6 meters long that could easily swallow prey as large as a human. This ocean gave rise to countless formidable creatures. Some even had such powerful bites they could crush a car with ease. Yet in this primeval sea, the most iconic of all was undoubtedly the ultimate predator, Tylosaurus. Imagine, if they suddenly appeared in modern oceans, they would surely be a nightmare for all marine life. Tylosaurus belonged to the mosasaur family, an extinct group of giant marine reptiles, and it was among the largest representatives. The most common species of Tylosaurus could reach 14 meters in length and weigh about 8,500 kilograms. But don't be fooled by the size. This ocean top dog was not only huge, but extremely agile, adept at hunting in the dark, and easily able to take down other large predators. Its streamlined, flexible body let it swim at high speed, making escape nearly impossible for prey. Its powerful tail made up nearly half its body, allowing agile directional control during the chase. And the light, narrow skull let Tylosaurus swallow remarkably large prey. In some smaller Tylosaurus stomachs, teeth of giant flower-toothed fish have been found. Fish that could reach lengths of 10 meters, remains of a roughly 4-meter flat-headed mosasaur have also been found, showing Tylosaurus wasn't picky about food. Whether small animals, large predators, or even other mosasaurs of its own kind, were all on the menu. The skull of Tylosaurus typically measured 1 to 1.5 meters long, letting it bite off huge chunks of flesh, or even swallow prey whole, much like today's great predators. Recently, in the stomach of a roughly 9-meter Tylosaurus, researchers found the skeleton of a small, short-necked plesiosaur, about 2.5 meters long, swallowed whole by the Tylosaurus, and possibly still alive during ingestion. The teeth of Tylosaurus were extremely hard, with flat inner surfaces and rounded outer surfaces, a design that helped it clamp down on slippery marine animals. A veritable, inescapable killing machine. If prey tried to dive deep to hide, Tylosaurus could rely on sensitive nerve clusters at the snout or possibly electroreceptors to locate targets with ease. On some Tylosaurus skulls, healed fractures have been found, injuries that may have come from striking rocks or from deliberately headbutting prey or rivals during combat. This species was highly aggressive. Many fossil records show they were often injured in fights with a variety of predators, and were often injured in fights with other predators. There was no shortage of intraspecific conflict. Researchers generally believe that clashes between Tylosaurus and other mosasaurs were very frequent. They would rather battle one another than bother with weaker prey. Let's pit the largest Tylosaurus against the modern great white shark. Its colossal body would surely unsettle a great white. At 14 meters long, Tylosaurus was over 3 times the length of a great white shark and more than 8 times the weight. Its nearly 2-meter long snout was about half the length of a great white, enough to bite one cleanly in 2. There's no doubt Tylosaurus was among the most fearsome predators of the western interior seaway. However, it was not the only ruler of these ancient seas. Among other members of the mosasaur family, Mosasaurus hoffmanni was also one of the era's most formidable giant marine reptiles. Mosasaurus hoffmanni was a terrifying classic representative of the mosasaur clan, distantly related to modern monitor lizards. Its ancestors returned to the sea and found an environment perfectly suited to them. As the type species of its genus, hoffmanni stood out among mosasaurs for its astonishing size and power. a pinnacle of the family's evolution. Its body length reached 15 to 17 meters. One lower jaw fossil from Russia measures 1.6 meters. Another jawbone suggests a mandible up to 2 meters long. Overall, Hoffmanni may have weighed between 15,000 and 27,000 kilograms. Even at the upper estimate, it ranks among the largest marine predators of its time, nearly 4 times the length of the biggest great whites today, and over 20 times their mass. Its massive skull was especially notable among mosasaurs. Unlike the relatively nimble jaws of M. hoffmanni were more robust, able to shear back and forth and tear flesh. Its deeply set teeth were blade sharp, with cutting edges, designed to rip and chew meat. With jawbones up to about 1.7 meters, this predator could not only slice prey with ease, but also gulp down large chunks. M. hoffmanni did not rely on smell to hunt. Unlike sharks that can detect blood kilometers away, this ancient giant primarily hunted by sight. Its huge orbits captured more light, giving it a broad field of view. Even though its binocular overlap was only about 29, making precise distance judging difficult. It didn't need razor-fine measurements. As an unchallenged apex hunter, it actively pursued fresh prey rather than sniffing out carrion. Evolution had given it everything required to be a top marine predator, so it had no need to rely on scent to locate injured or dead animals. Rather than relying on smell to find carrion, evolution had given it everything needed to be a top marine hunter, so it didn't need to track the scent of injured or dead prey. Mosasaurus hoffmanni had a long, streamlined body, powerful flippers, and a shark-like tail fin, allowing rapid swimming and agile turning. In pursuit, it was no less capable than Tylosaurus. As an active apex predator, its prey included giant fishes, sharks, sea turtles, and even its own kind. M. hoffmanni often engaged other mosasaurs in life-and-death battles, with the victor consuming the loser. Scientists speculate this predator may even have hunted by ambush, patiently waiting for targets to surface, and M. hoffmanni also possessed great endurance and rapid swimming ability. Power from the tail let it actively chase down prey. As a warm-blooded animal, its high metabolism kept it constantly active. In addition, this predator could wait for other marine reptiles to surface, then suffocate them. And it could dive deep to track prey for long periods. This oceanic giant feared almost nothing. It dared attack aquatic animals of any size, even the largest sea turtle known on Earth, Archelon. This colossal turtle weighed over 2,000 kilograms and exceeded 4.5 meters in length. An extinct Cretaceous sea turtle related to modern leatherbacks. Among its kin, Archelon was a true giant, with flipper spans surpassing 5 meters. Its tracks on land were like those of a bulldozer, and its skull measured up to 70 centimeters long, bearing a massive bird-like beak, capable of crushing the shells of mollusks with ease. Its great size meant this turtle was almost impossible for predators to bite directly through the shell, especially since the carapace was extremely strong. Even Tylosaurus, adept at ramming, would likely fail if it tried to attack Archelon by impact alone. Despite its massive size and a sturdy shell that served as a defensive weapon, as a means of defense from time to time. Even so, Archelon would still occasionally become prey for Mosasaurus hoffmanni. Against this underwater monster, no protection or strategy could save the creatures that crossed its path. Fossil records show many remains of these giant turtles, indicating injuries sustained in life, even signs of trauma. Paleobiologists suggest these wounds were likely inflicted during attacks by large mosasaurs, especially the massive M. hoffmanni. Such oceanic giants ruled the ancient seas, unmatched apex predators of their time. Even so, it's worth noting that in some respects, they were outclassed by another formidable rival of the western interior seaway, the giant crocodilian Tylosaurus. Tylosaurus could hunt in the water and also kill on land. It was one of the largest crocodilians ever. Tylosaurus lived along the shores of the western interior seaway, widely distributed on both its eastern and western coasts, and was the second biggest aquatic predator there, after mosasaurs. Its appearance was very similar to modern crocodiles and alligators. 241. 012 to 46,000. The perfect predator designed tens of millions of years ago. One that needed no further change. Dinosaur evolution had already populations on both sides of the western interior seaway, generally referred to as western and eastern groups. They could live in both fresh and salt water. Some paleontologists believe they were the same species, while others consider them distinct subspecies. One on the rough western and one on the Rio Grande side to the east. In the east, Tylosaurus averaged about 8.8 meters long and weighed over 2 tons, larger than any living crocodilian. If that's not astounding enough, the western Tylosaurus was even bigger. Its length could reach 12 meters. If this is still not enough to amaze, then the size of the Tylosaurus is even more terrifying. Their body length could reach 12 meters, and their weight exceeded 8 tons. By comparison, the largest living crocodiles today are about 5.2 meters long and weigh 1.1 tons, while Tylosaurus was nearly 2.5 times longer and more than 7 times heavier. Such a massive body allowed Tylosaurus not only to prey on herbivorous dinosaurs, but even carnivorous dinosaurs were on its menu. Its body was covered with exceptionally tough, thick bony scutes, forming armor like a heavy shield, allowing it to withdraw safely. Even after battling other large predators, its armor was extremely strong, almost impossible to pierce. Its snout was not broad, similar to that of modern Mississippi or Cuban crocodiles, with massive, sturdy teeth lining its jaws. The inner teeth were shorter and blunter, perfect for crushing dinosaur bones. This was a common sight when Tylosaurus fed. Its powerful limbs could support its massive frame, allowing it to move freely on land as well. However, its most lethal weapon was still its immense bite force. The bite of a large Tylosaurus is estimated to have been 10 times stronger than a T-Rex, and the T-Rex was already the dinosaur with the strongest bite force. According to studies, Tylosaurus' bite could reach 100,000 newtons, equal to 10 tons of pressure. That was enough to easily crush a car or a large boulder. This astonishing power, combined with its strong jaws, shows that Tylosaurus preferred to crush its prey to death, rather than tearing it apart. No creature could survive once caught in its bite. Its prey included dinosaurs, large fish, and even sea turtles. Their tough shells and armor were no defense against Tylosaurus' crushing jaws. Nevertheless, the giant Araripamese turtle still thrived because of its huge size. They were usually not within the hunting range of Tylosaurus. The smaller eastern species of Tylosaurus, limited by both bite force and body size, preferred to prey on fish, turtles, and medium-sized coastal animals. But the giant western Tylosaurus favored much larger prey. The largest of them would fearlessly hurl themselves at dinosaurs, crushing them without suffering harm. Its massive frame, combined with its weight and bite force, made it powerful enough to challenge apex predators, and it would not hesitate to attack and devour the top dinosaur hunters of its time, such as Dryptosaurus and Gorgosaurus. Dryptosaurus could grow up to 9 or 10 meters in length. It is easy to imagine how spectacular and brutal the scenes must have been when these predators met along the shores of the western interior seaway of coasts and estuaries. Tylosaurus struck fear into every creature that entered its domain. Although it occasionally ventured into the deep sea, those waters were already occupied by other giants. The top predator role in the open ocean was firmly held by the mosasaurs. Speaking of the great hunters of the western interior seaway, if you are unlucky enough to enter these treacherous waters, the first creature you might encounter would likely be a giant shark. If that shark happened to be the enormous bottleneck shark, then you were fortunate, for for it was one of the gentlest sharks of its age. Studies of its teeth reveal a very unusual diet. It had broad, flat, and slightly raised crushing forming teeth, sturdy dental plates. Some of the largest measured up to 53 centimeters and 45 centimeters in width. Its lower jaw carried about 200 and the upper jaw around 260, for a total of more than 550. These features indicate it belonged to the Gyrophagus shark family, feeding mainly on shelled and exoskeleton-bearing creatures. Its teeth came in trapezoid, rectangular, and circular shapes, with small ridges on the crowns to help grip and crush prey inside shells. Bottleneck sharks were very common at the time, with as many as 26 known species. This was due largely to the abundance of both shelled and shell-less mollusks in the oceans then. Such rich food supplies allowed these sharks to spread widely, occupying nearly every sea of the late Cretaceous. However, if instead you encountered another shark inhabiting the western interior seaway, you had reason to be afraid. This was the hibidon shark, an active predator that sometimes scavenged as well. Its teeth were sharp and serrated, perfect for gripping prey. Its streamlined body allowed it to swim swiftly through the water. It is believed that its skin was covered with scales or tough dermal plates, which reduced drag as it swam, while also providing protection. Though smaller than the bottleneck shark, reaching an average length of about 4.9 meters, these predators would sometimes venture into coastal areas when food was scarce, entering the domain of Tylosaurus and the remains of dinosaurs. Remarkably, the hibidon shark was also among the few aquatic animals capable of hunting pterosaurs. It is believed that the hibidon shark's body was covered with scales or some kind of dermal armor, which not only reduced drag while swimming, but also provided protection. Although it was not as large as the bottleneck shark, far from it in size, it typically reached about 4.9 meters in length. When food was scarce, these sharks often risked venturing into coastal areas, entering the domain of Tylosaurus to scavenge dinosaur remains. In addition, the hibidon shark was among the few aquatic animals capable of hunting pterosaurs. Some pterosaurs had wingspans up to 7 meters, which implies the hibidon had excellent vision and could launch attacks when they dive to snatch fish from the surface. In these ancient seas, there was also a fearsome behemoth that inspired dread. The plesiosaurs. They were marine reptiles that lived from the Cretaceous for vast spans of time. Classic members of the group. Representative plesiosaurs included Haitianlong, about 7.5 meters long, weighing roughly 1.1 tons, Mashalong, over 8 meters, and the giant of the clan, Mingalong. Mingalong had a neck up to 7 meters long, and a total length of 10 meters. And its image even became a major inspiration for the legend of the Loch Ness Monster. Plesiosaurs fed on fish and marine invertebrates. Some were massive, weighing up to 8 tons, with streamlined bodies and paddle-like limbs, short tails and relatively small heads. Despite their agile appearance, they were not adept at high-speed swimming. Instead, they relied on their exceptionally long necks to approach prey, keeping their bodies concealed at a distance. Prey might mistake the head for harmless floating debris, lower their guard, and end up in a plesiosaur's jaws. Their fearsome looks belied relatively gentle habits. However, the next creature was different. Its very appearance could trigger thalassophobia. This monster was a giant, bony fish of the ancient oceans, known as Shuran Moropai phonetic. If there were a horror film about underwater monsters, it would be the perfect lead. Compared with it, the great white shark seems almost friendly. It was not only a ferocious predator, but also a voracious carnivore. Anything that could fit in its mouth rarely escaped, including small fish, sea turtles, and even juvenile mosasaurs. At times, it would even eat without restraint. In some fossil remains, scientists have discovered prey preserved in its stomach. The most astonishing find was a fossil skeleton about 4 meters long, with a fully intact 2-meter fish still preserved in its belly. This suggests the creature may have suffocated after swallowing prey that was simply too large. The fish itself was long and torpedo-shaped, built for explosive bursts of speed, reaching up to 60 kilometers per hour. Some have even speculated that it could leap from the water like a dolphin, snatching flying reptiles that skimmed the surface. Its form resembled that of modern jacks or trevally, but with exceptionally powerful jaws. earning it the nickname bullfish. Its mouth bristled with sharp, spiny teeth, while its long pectoral fins had hardened front edges that could extend up to a meter in length. In short, this fish was an unstoppable killing machine of the seas, instilling terror in countless marine animals. As you can see, in the western interior seaway, giant creatures were the rule, not the exception. Almost every life form grew to massive proportions, from sea turtles the size of small trucks, to truly astonishing mollusks. This sea once teemed with monsters, ammonites, an extinct group of cephalopods, often bore spiral-shaped shells. They were active predators, and according to scientific studies, as many as 40,000 species are known. The largest ammonites reached diameters of 3.5 meters and weighed around 1.5 tons. One fossil shell alone weighed 545 kilograms. If fully uncoiled, the shell could stretch 10 meters long. Ammonites move through the water by jet propulsion, and like all their kin, they had a strong beak and long tentacles for hunting. Their shells likely hosted a variety of marine hitchhikers, creating ecosystems much like barnacles and corals do on ships today. Smaller ammonites were often preyed upon by large predators such as mosasaurs. But the giants had virtually no natural enemies. Their shells were nearly impossible to break, and with their tentacles they could strike back fiercely. The western interior seaway stretched some 965 kilometers wide and 3,219 kilometers long, yet it contained an astonishing density of giant predators. This relatively narrow seaway became a wild testing ground for evolution, where it seemed nature displayed its full creativity and power, shaping some of the most terrifying and deadly creatures ever to walk the earth.